Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the very first ever Apron Bumps Wrestling Podcast pay-per-view review. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is a pay-per-view review that you are hearing tonight, only on YouTube for now, and I will explain that right now. So Buzzsprout has a limit in which you can only upload about an hour or so total for a month or 3 weeks, and my 3 weeks isn't up yet. I have 13 days before I can upload another hour or two worth of podcast, so this is going to be archived on YouTube until I can, of course, release it and the Night 2 review to Buzzsprout once my little under 2 weeks is up. But we are here, we're on YouTube, we are ready to talk about WrestleMania 36, Night 1, the night that was too big, so it had to be split into two. I am here with my wonderful, wonderful collaborator and co-host, Mr. Gabe Nozid, and I know you watched this show tonight, and we're going to share our thoughts, but how are you feeling today, bud?
I have, my expectations were kind of blown out of the water from this night. Not gonna lie, I thought some of these matches gonna be lukewarm and vice versa. Like, I'll give you my thoughts on it when we get to there.
Yeah, so you think we should just break down right into the card, get right at it?
Yeah, go straight to match one, unless you want to do kickoff.
I'm not going to do the kickoff because I didn't watch it, nor will I be watching it tomorrow. Spoiler alert for those who are going to watch them, listen to the Night 2 review. I will be skipping that. But I want to at least note before we get to the opener, that pre-show package got me pretty hyped with like all the ships and the movie style like island and them using like warrior weapons and just that whole presentation with the commentary. Like, that felt like big budget and awesome, and it kind of made you realize that yes, despite the fact that this is happening at the Performance Center, WWE still does care about the show and wants to give you the best show possible. I thought that opening package is very well done.
I didn't see it myself.
Oh, you missed that? Oh, well, I
gotta look at that now since you're hyping it up.
I thought it was very well done, but usually it's always very well done, whether they're in a crowd of like 70-some thousand or they're in a crowd of nobody. Like, they really put together a real hype package. So, but I thought, given the circumstances, it was very well done. You can watch it when you will. But the actual main card opened with, surprisingly, the WWE Women's Tag Team title match. The Kabuki Warriors, that of course being your champions, Asuka and Kairi Sane, defending against the best buddy team of Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. Now, there's a bit of context to this match. Back in the fall, Bliss and Cross were the champions, and it was the Kabuki Warriors that beat them to become the champions for this reign that they had going into WrestleMania. So it's like they kind of built that it's, Bliss and Cross's first big shot to get the belts back, and they only had a couple weeks to shoot that, but I thought they got it together pretty good, and Alexa cut a pretty good promo on SmackDown about a week or two ago that I thought it built it up quite nicely, and they got a pretty big spot there, opening the first night of WrestleMania, because as Chris Jericho says, you either want to be on first, or if you're not going to be on first, you want to be on last. So this is a big spot for these girls, I thought. What did you think when you seen that this match was opening the show, Gabe?
I kind of came in like halfway through because I was a bit late doing some stuff with my mom.
Yeah, you got caught up with some stuff. Yeah,
we got to work out, during all this quarantine stuff, But I got to come in around halfway through the match. It was a decent, like, I guess, TV show match.
Yeah, it was. It was
nothing special.
Nothing special about it. Like, Brandon, in our group chat for this said, I couldn't get into it with no crowd. I'm like, dude, even with the crowd there, it was pretty average. Like, it's nothing against the four women, right? Like, that's a tough spot. You're opening a show with no audience. But even if that was the match they had planned out for a show with a bunch of people, I'd probably be giving it the same rating with a crowd. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
it felt very scripted when I was watching it. Just nothing too special. Like, okay, you're gonna have a match. Nothing special.
Like, Asuka and Kairi were great. You could hear their taunting really well. They're yelling at them in Japanese. And, like, a lot of the trash talking was really good because you could hear it great because there's nobody there to, like, drown out the audio in the ring.
Yeah, that's one thing I like about audience factors. You can just hear every, like, word.
We will talk about certain wrestlers who did it well as we get on through the rest of the show. But, yeah, this was just a basic match. I mean, I thought Kairi's elbow to Nikki Cross when Cross, I think, hit a finish on Asuka.
Oh,
and
when,
she was about
Nikki was pinning?
Yeah, and Kairi came off an elbow. That was a beautiful elbow drop, and it looked like it sucked for both Nikki to take it and Kairi dishing it out. And then Bliss was able to hit her little corkscrew twisted Bliss spot twice, and in doing so for the second time, shockingly, won the tag team titles with Nikki Cross in the opener. I was not expecting that.
I wouldn't be surprised if they switched the belts. I was not surprised.
Yeah, I guess for like a title change, but there was another title change, and we'll get to that later in the night. But like, I didn't think these were the belts that needed to be changed on this here show.
I heard that Kairi is going to not re-sign. I heard her contract is expiring from what my friend told me. He said that the reason why they lost is because Kairi's contract is up. So and she's not re-signing. I heard that she got married. That's what he told me. So yeah, she's most likely going to move back to Japan.
Okay, well, she's on the way out, then I get the change. If that is indeed the case, so
I'll look that up for you.
But yeah, we'll at least give like WWE. We'll say that that's the case. Why? Because other than that, I can't. If she is re-signing, I can't see a reason to take the belts off these two. They were perfect with them. Why take them off, right? So, but if she's leaving, then that makes a little more sense. But yeah, I thought it was an average match. Nothing special, but nothing horrible either. It was just sort of there, and it would have been there in front of people. So speaking of being just there, oh my God, we got to talk about this next match. Elias took on King Corbin. Now the big angle was...
I forgot about this match.
Oh God, I seen that they did the angle 8 days ago where Corbin, the dastardly heel, Elias and him were fighting on a platform, and Elias, like an idiot, is hanging off this big tall thing where I guess like scouts can sit and watch people wrestle or whatever. It's like this upper deck of the performance center. And Corbin hits him with the king staff, and Elias allegedly plummets 15 feet and is badly injured. And this happened allegedly
into the concrete floor.
Yeah, allegedly happened 8 days ago. We don't know how long they taped it ago, but it aired 8 days ago. So they want us to pretend in WWE logic and timeline that last week's show was 8 days before this. So 8 days ago, Elias suffered this horrible injury falling from not the rafters, but he fell from the upper deck of the Performance Center, and he has this horrible injury 8 days before the match. So Corbin comes out, does his heel shtick, and says how he's going to get 2 big wins at WrestleMania in a row, because let's not forget he retired Kurt Angle last year. I'm sure everybody wants to forget that. So he says that he wants the ref to, count out get a count out for a forfeit since Elias isn't there. And then Elias just shows up, and they brawl, and I think he hit Corbin with the guitar, and they brawled. And he was looking pretty good for a guy who fell 15 feet 8 days prior. That's all I could think was that. But then, like, I was talking with some of my friends who were watching in Windsor, and like, well, he's got tape on his shoulder. I'm like, well, at least they put a bit of tape there. The tape
doesn't do shit.
The tape is like, that's how you're going to sell it? He fell. His whole body should be hurt. He fell 15 feet in storyline. But no, he's fine, and he sells the shoulder a bit because it's got some tape on it, you see. So that's what's hurt more than...
He fell on his back.
I guess he fell on his back, but the shoulder was out. I don't know, but they put tape on his shoulder. He didn't sell nothing. They had a match. That's all I could say. They had a bout on this pay-per-view, and then Elias just got a win with a schoolboy out of nowhere. Just pinned Corbin with a roll-up. Whatever. It was bad. The guy sold nothing, but then he made sure to sell the shoulder after he got the win. You know, when they do the babyface does the quick roll up, and then they celebrate on the floor after the shock win. He's selling his arm as he's trying to raise it in victory. He's like, "Oh, I won! Ow! Oh, I lifted it in victory, but now I'm hurt. Oh!" type deal. So he made sure to sell that shoulder a little more after the match was done. But yeah, this was not very good.
It was. Yeah, I told you in our predictions.
Oh, I knew.
I do not care who would win. And the only thing I predicted wrong, I guess, was that there'd be a gimmick to this match. No, it was just a singles match.
It was a bout.
After falling from like whatever feet fall, they just had a regular wrestling match.
They claimed it was 15 weird. Feet.
15 feet, and you're just gonna have a regular match.
The guy hit him with a staff and made him fall 15 feet, and he hit him with a guitar in retaliation before the match, and then they just got in the ring and wrestled. Love that. I love that. Two guys shoot a blood feud type angle days before the pay-per-view, and then they just lock up. That's always the best. Greatest payoffs that way, you see.
I mean, it's the second match in the damn show.
Yeah, so and it's the one that
it's
literally going to be the one that people were like, oh yeah, that was on the show. You know, like they're not even going to remember it. They're not going to remember it on night 2, let alone a week from now. So, you know, it's just time to move on. They got their WrestleMania payday, maybe, depending on how many people bought the show or whatever the network numbers factor in. But yeah, that was that. It wasn't very good. We can move on. Next was, surprisingly, I can't believe it was on night 1, let alone this early, was the Raw Women's title match. Becky Lynch defending against Shayna Baszler.
That match was not bad at all.
It was actually very good. That
would have been a good NXT main event.
It would have been a very good NXT main event. It would have been... Actually, with a crowd, it might have even been a little better with the atmosphere, because when Shayna locked in Becky's disarmor, I popped for it, you know. So I guess I was acting like the audience.
Her own damn move.
Yes, so like that would have gotten with the Mania crowd, that would have gotten a huge reaction. Mark my words, it would have gotten a huge reaction. So that would have been good. But they beat the piss out of each other. They were hitting hard shots.
Oh, yeah, this was a stiff match.
Fucking Shayna just throws Becky headfirst into the announce table again, even more viciously than she did Monday, just trying to kill her. They had a great match. Well, very good. Great would have been probably with the crowd, but at this point it was head and shoulders above the 2 matches we'd seen before, in my opinion. This was a step up. So the show was amping up at this point. So they trade some counters in the ring again. Shayna seems to have Becky in all kinds of trouble in the Cara feud clutch, but then they repeat the Kairi Sane finish from NXT TakeOver Brooklyn 4 from 2018, where she locks in the clutch. No, it was Kairi.
Kairi.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, Shayna locks in the clutch, and then Becky rolled through with a pin, a fluke pin. They did the same finish for when Kairi beat Shayna in NXT like almost 2 years ago. But that was the way Becky beat Shayna here. She did Superwoman her way to win, like you predicted in the last podcast game.
Not surprised with this win.
No.
Again, this match was so good, and then it's forever tainted with this one loss to Shayna, because they were building her up all throughout the year in the Rumble, and then she's gonna eliminate everyone in the Chamber, and then she's just gonna get rolled up like she did in NXT.
Yeah, so it was rough.
That's a no. That's a big bad in my opinion.
Yeah, the finish kind of taints it, because I don't think Becky needed to win. I mean, she's held the belt for a year now.
Yeah, she has nothing to prove. If she lost, then she would have proven wow, she has
maybe they
want
to
challenge.
Keep. Yeah, I can only suspect that maybe they want to keep this going so that when Shayna wins, it is in front of people. Maybe.
That's what I was thinking too. But still, Shayna still looks weak from a roll up on WrestleMania like that.
Yeah, to be fair, at least she didn't tap out to the disarmor.
Oh no, not at all. It's a whole pin.
So she did get fluke pinned. So I think in their minds they protected her to a degree.
In a way, yeah. I'll just leave it be.
But anyway, they only went 8.5 minutes. But man, they made sure that every minute spent was something.
Oh yeah, of course, every minute was something.
That 8.5 minutes almost felt like 15. So they really, in my opinion, they did very good for the amount of time that they had, which was not a lot. So for them to make me pay attention and be as enthralled in a championship match as I was for only 8 some minutes, I give them credit there. I don't think Becky should have won, but we are where we are, and she has, and they're keeping the belt on her for a while longer, because obviously they think she's probably their one, if not their top star right now, as far as holding a belt's concerned.
It's better than any Charlotte, Flair,
yeah,
or whoever held the women's belt for too long before her.
And then Becky's still very over, despite this big push that she's gotten for a year. She hasn't lost the people, so we'll see where it goes. I have a suspicion that if they want Shayna to beat her, they want it to be in front of people, so maybe that's what they're waiting for. I still think it was the wrong call. She did not need people to see her win the title. So if they overthought in that regard, it was to a detriment to poor Shayna Baszler. But still, good for these women for putting on a performance, even if they weren't given a whole lot of time. They made sure that every minute they had, They capitalized on it. I thought that was nothing more than a positive. Bit of a weak finish, in my opinion, and wrong person won, but that still doesn't take away from the match that they had and the quality of it, right? So speaking of beating the piss out of each other, we're going on to and really not even out of each other. It was one guy beating the piss out of another. The Intercontinental title match was the next match on the show. Sami Zayn defending against Daniel Bryan. So Zayn had Cesaro and Nakamura in his corner. Bryan had Drew Gulak in his. And for the first bit of this match, it was just Sami running away and not getting touched, playing the chicken shit heel to a level that you may have never even seen before.
This match was very cartoony. Like,
it was wacky. Yeah, it was wacky.
I was very disappointed. We were talking about the predictions, Brayden, that this match could be high caliber for a WrestleMania match.
It could be if they would have structured it right.
Danielson and Generico.
Yes.
In a wrestling ring that we haven't seen before.
Not one-on-one, and let alone one-on-one for a title.
Yeah, exactly. And it failed to our expectations.
So Sami just runs away from Bryan forever for the first half. And then when, I guess, Bryan and Gulak take out Cesaro and Nakamura, so now Zayn has no backup. So then Zayn gets caught in the ring with Bryan, and then Bryan just proceeds to beat the shit out of him for, like, literally the majority of the match. Stiff kicks, slaps, chops. It's like the passion of the Zayn here at WrestleMania 36. Bryan just beats the piss out of him. You could hear every slap. Every kick sounded like it sucked. I would not want to be Sami Zayn on this night. Then Bryan gets distracted by the heels who have recovered, and they've beaten up Drew Gulak at ringside. And then Sami just hits him with the haluva kick and wins. After getting out of nowhere. It was like his only offense. The whole match was his finish. And he pins the guy. There was no build up to it. He just hit him with it, and that was it.
I don't even count it as a haluva kick, Brayden. Like, it's a big boot. Like, his haluva kick is corner to corner running boot to the face.
Yeah.
A big boot to counter a dive.
Yeah, well, actually, Bryan just springboarded off the ropes and fell into it.
Yeah, that's not a haluva kick. The commentary's gonna be like, "Oh, it's a haluva kick, 1, 2, 3." That's bullshit. That's just a big ass boot. He could have done another haluva kick or something. He should have.
Yeah. He should have put him in the corner and hit it. And at least, like, you built up to him getting beat, not just one move and it's done.
And it kind of makes Bryan look weak as hell. Like,
super weak.
Fucking big boot, and then that's it. And then he's still champion, which I wasn't surprised.
The beating was fun, though. I enjoyed hearing the slaps and kicks, and I was getting into it, and then all of a sudden it was over. I was just like, it was good while it lasted, and Bryan was on offense, but that's all you can say about it. Because as soon as it was beginning to reach its point where the match would peak, it just ended with one move, and
before any climax.
It had no it was it.
It was building up with the beatdowns, after the whole chicken shit stuff. Like, it was rising, and then no climax was ever paid off.
No, not only that, but like all of a sudden, the babyface went from pretty much squashing the heel to just getting beat with one move. Literally, that's how it went.
This is Bryan's worst match of the year.
I don't know. When you can get into his offense and kicks, it can't be all that bad.
I mean, it made him look weak as hell. I mean, was there any other match to make him look weak? Look at the Gulak Bryan match. That was, I mean, I'm pretty sure they dished out way more offense. Gulak has dished out more offense onto Bryan.
Are you talking about, like, this is the worst he's been booked in a match on a big scale? Then that would be that. Because as far as, like, being in the ring and performing, this wasn't.
Oh
bad.
No, he was still being Bryan. I can't think of any bad Bryan match, to be honest.
No, because he's too good. He's too good, right? Like.
But this is the worst. Like, he's been ever booked, I guess.
Yeah, it was a bad finish. It came out of nowhere, and like if Zayn would have built up to hitting him with his finish, that'd have been fine. But to hit him with one move, and that's literally the only offense he had the whole match.
A second move, and it would have made
like if he caught him, if he caught him with the boot and then set him up in the corner and hit the haluva kick, fine. But he just hit a boot, and that was it. So, yeah, I was as disappointed with the finish out of nowhere. And I was only disappointed with it because I was getting into the beating. I was getting into the babyface laying in his shit, and then all of a sudden it was over and the heel wins. Sad times.
There's nothing else to say about this. Let's just move on, Braden.
I will. I'll save us all the misery and move on. Poor Daniel. Anyway, so next we got a triple threat ladder match, and boy, do I have a lot to say about this one. So John Morrison, since Miz is in quarantine, or was in quarantine during the week of this taping, had to defend by himself. So what they did was they just had each member of the opposing teams that were supposed to face. So Miz and Morrison were supposed to defend against both Usos and the New Day, Kofi and Big E, in a triple threat ladder match. Since Miz was in quarantine, they eliminated the team aspect and just did like a triple threat match for the tag title. So it was 3 guys battling for their team in this triple threat ladder match. And they killed each other. They used ladders. They took a bunch of risks those risks would be crazy if there were people in the building, and there wasn't any. This was just chaos.
This is a classic Mania ladder match, which I am happy about. Like, I had my doubts about this. Like, okay, it's not tag team, but then again, it's these 3. Like, I'm not gonna lie, these 3 have been really proficient for every like ladder match they've stepped in. Especially Morrison. Like, my favorite memory of him is that moonsault at Mania. I forgot which one.
You're thinking of Mania, Mania 24. That's one of my favorite WrestleManias ever, if not 24. My favorite.
He moonsaults off of the turnbuckle into
the outside with a ladder
in his hand.
So this was just crazy. Like, they were hitting each other pretty hard with the ladders too, man. Like, that was a big point of the match that they were using, which is something you don't see often. Yeah, they had their high spots, but I liked the usage of the guys using ladders to beat up the other guys, since they are weapons that can be used. I thought they did that very good. I can't even believe that Morrison did that tightrope thing he did before
he walked the rope.
Yeah, and then into the Spanish fly. I can't even believe he kept his balance. That was crazy. He just tight ropes over and he nails. I believe it was Kofi with. It
was scary too.
Yeah, with the Spanish fly.
He was walking across the rope. As soon as he hits the middle, he started to dip and like, oh wow, he's really walking this damn rope? And then he hits that fly. Wow.
They each did a bunch of dives. I think after the Spanish fly, Jimmy hit hit a big splash. Was it on? I can't remember if it was on both of them or just Morrison.
I think it was Morrison.
Yeah, he hit it on one of them, either Kofi or Morrison, and they even battled more. There was still more to come. They all kind of fought up on top of the ladder. Now this was kind of a creative finish, I thought.
When they all
so they're all battling for the belts, which are hanging from this little like hook thing that you'd like hang your clothes on, except much bigger and thicker, and it holds 2 belts. So they all unhook it at the same time. So all 3 of them with it unhooked are kind of like playing tug of war for it, and then they kind of hit Morrison, and his momentum pulls the belts off of it.
Yeah.
And so Kofi and Jimmy are left with this empty hook, but Morrison falls with both the belts, and he retains for him and Miz. And I thought that was just such a clever finish. Like, I'm sure
what's funny was, for me, as soon as Morrison won, Greg Hamilton goes, "Here are your winners."
Yeah.
John Morrison and The Miz.
Well, speaking of the flubs, there's another one I thought I should mention. Brandon mentioned this to me, and since he was actually watching some bits on the network, I was watching a bootleg stream that was like maybe 3-4 minutes behind. As King Corbin is entering for his match with Elias, Michael Cole's like, "Welcome back to SmackDown on Fox with King Corbin."
Did he really say SmackDown on a taped WrestleMania?
He said, "Welcome back to SmackDown on Fox. Here's King Corbin." Yes, he said that. He said,
"No way, this is taped."
I know that out. I know. Did it just like slip by somebody? Nobody noticed that he said it was SmackDown on Fox. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, there's no way he said that. And then as soon as like I'm done reading that text, I hear it on my feed. I'm like, oh, it's a tape show. How did that get through? Unbelievable. But yeah, so I mean, I guess maybe you got to keep Miz there in spirit. I think the ring announcer's little flub of announcing Miz with Morrison is much more forgivable than Michael Cole calling WrestleMania SmackDown.
Calling it a SmackDown, that's crazy.
SmackDown. Yeah, you think
some spots I'd like to talk about.
Go ahead. I'm kind of spacing on a few of them, but you can bring them up.
Kofi like did a springboard through the ladder, like under the ladder, and then like Morrison and Jimmy caught him, and then they just dumped him out. That was kind of anticlimactic. I don't know if you saw that one. He just he just springboards through a ladder. I was like, oh, what are they gonna do? And then just dump him out. I'm like, oh, okay. And then Morrison also dumped out Jimmy when he was on top of a ladder. And
he fell so far, man.
Yeah,
and with no give, there was nothing there to break his fall. He just fell on the floor.
Well, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure it was taped and edited out. Because they didn't show his impact at all.
Well,
they just show his
I'm just a dumbass because I thought he just fell on the floor, and that looked like it sucked if he did do that.
I did too, but I look back, and they even show a replay. Usually that's a replay, highlight.
Yeah.
It's I'm pretty sure that was taped. Whoever, my friend Kenny, he was watching it with me, and he was like, yeah, that was most likely taped. I'm like, oh yeah.
Well, they edited it good because that looked like just a bad fall for Mr. Jimmy Uso. Yeah, it looked like he crashed and burned. But at least it was like, wow, it made me wince. That it's just good editing on their part.
Yeah, I was wincing too. So it was good.
It was effective. It was effective. So, any other spots you want to remember from that, or is that pretty well all your thoughts on the ladder match?
We should start taking notes for tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely. I was trying to look at my head here and just remember big time things from it because I do remember the fall and I remember the tightrope into the Spanish Fly. I remember Kofi. I think you just brought this up. Was that part where you're talking about him get dumped out where he was kind of like fighting people from being inside the ladder? Do you remember that part?
Oh, I remember that part. Yeah, that was something else. I
remember Kofi was inside the ladder and he was caught there, but he was fighting on both sides. So he was attacking the Uso behind him and Morrison in front of him, and he was literally hanging from inside the ladder. It's like, how did he position himself? This guy's got crazy athleticism to stay up there because he's basically using all core strength to hang from the middle inside the ladder. So I thought that was pretty impressive. And before we go on, I loved Kofi and Jimmy's selling of Morrison just snagging a win. They look so defeated.
Oh, they were so dumbfounded.
They were like, oh shit. Their selling of that loss I thought was great. So speaking of, you're thinking.
There's one more spot I'd like to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
This was another highlight that was crazy impressive. Morrison is just
oh my god, yes.
Kofi I know springboards. And then Frankenstein Frank does a Hurricane Rana off of John Morrison, and at first when John caught him, he was kind of positioned weird, so he repositioned.
Oh, that fall looked like it sucked big time. Yes.
Then, boom, he did the Hurricane Rana.
And how could we forget this? Also, Morrison sets up Jimmy on a ladder and does the tightest, smallest space imaginable between the rope where he can bounce off of and the ladder, and he hits Starship Pain with the tightest little space.
No, that wasn't Starship. That was a spiral tap. That was.
Oh yes, it was a corkscrew of some sort. I thought it was Starship Pain, but he had very little room to pull that off, and he did it
on top of the buckle. I popped off on that one the most because I'm a big AJ fan, and I've always loved the spiral tap. So to see John Morrison pull that off
at WrestleMania, no less.
Oh, holy shit! Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I'd bring that one up. That was very early on in the match. That was within the first. That was within the first. I'd say maybe 5-10 minutes. It was very early on in the match, but I remembered it, and I remember it was to Jimmy Uso, and Morrison hit it, and I'm like, this guy's just intent on stealing the show here tonight.
John Morrison needs to go singles after
he does. As soon as
they don't drop the belts soon, I'll get mad because Morrison needs to be a world champion.
He is too talented to be a tag team guy. I don't mean to disrespect
card.
Yeah, even if he's defending, if he was in the Intercontinental title role and having decent challengers and stealing the show with them with the second best belt, that'd be fine. He's a singles champ, right?
When I was a kid, I still thought he was one of the best IC champions.
Yeah, he was. He had great matches with that belt. So he's too good to be in a tag team. I think that is abundantly clear.
As usual. I mean, look at Lucha Underground and then Impact.
Yeah, well, I think he was the top champion for both those shows.
Yeah, exactly. He was world title holder, so I don't know why they won't push him. He resigned.
Yeah, it's like I don't know if they just think that him and Miz are great and they want Miz to talk for him and then he can help Miz put on good matches by being like the workhorse of the team.
I mean, to be honest, Brain, there's so many like great talents in WWE that are being like held hostage.
Oh, I know.
Spotlight.
It's ridiculous.
It's not just Morrison. It's just, you know, there's so many other people like Sami Zayn and Nakamura and of course Cesaro. So
he's just one of many, but like honestly, I think as soon as him and Miz lose those belts, they got to push him as a single. There's a lot of value in John Morrison as a singles competitor. I think a lot.
Couldn't agree more.
And if anything showed that, he did this match himself. There was no Miz he was teaming with. Every highlight involved him. Every single one of them involved him. This was his match. I mean, not to take anything away from Kofi and Jimmy Uso. They held their end of the bargain. They took a beating. They took some risks too. But, like, I think this is a match where you're going to remember what John Morrison did in it to retain the titles, right? So if that was...
No disrespect to the other two.
No disrespect to the other two.
This is Morrison's highlight.
This was his match, and he was in the key spots that most people are going to remember. So this gets a roaring thumbs up from me. This was, at the least, very good. At the most, a great match.
Is there any negatives to this match?
I don't think so. The only negative, and it's not their fault, is that the crowd would have oohed and awed to a lot of shit that they did. And you're not going to get that. But we knew that going in, so I can't even use that as a criticism against it. You know what I mean? So it's this was, up to this point, this was the match of the show. Up to this point in the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I already told you my negative. Like, he just went through a ladder. They just dumped him out. That's it. That's all I can think of. But other than that, there's it was like 100 more positives, you know?
Yeah, if there's 100 positives to like one negative, then you can kind of forgive the negative, right? Like, that's just how it goes. So anyway, that would have been my favorite match of the night. But what we got next ended up being my personal favorite match of the night. Again, we all have a favorite segment, which we will, don't worry, we will get to that. But the next match of the show was Kevin Owens against Seth Rollins. They show the video package from Rollins' heel turn, everything that Rollins and his faction have done to Owens over the months, saying that if it wasn't for Seth, Kevin wouldn't even be there, that, you know, Seth is the guy on Monday nights, and he's not, and Kevin Owens is in his league. Good video package. Both guys, they have a WrestleMania-worthy singles match for much of it. There's buckle bombs, they're trading super kicks, Seth's going for stomps, KO's going for stunners, counters. I'm digging every second of it. It's basically WWE main event style singles match, just with no crowd to react to the key highlight spots of how they break it down. But I thought that this was just great. At the beginning, they really... They made our name, ladies and gentlemen, on the show. At the beginning of this match, Seth basically does one move before the Falcon Arrow. So he does.
It was
I forget what it was. It was a big back body drop, and then immediately after that, as Kevin Owens gets up, he does a Falcon Arrow, and both the big back body drop and the Falcon Arrow were done on.
Owens loves.
They were done on
I'm not gonna
the
lie.
apron. They were apron bumps, ladies and gentlemen. The name of this here podcast. So, Gabe, you should, before we go on with the rest of this match, do you think we should do that? Count every apron bump in a show, or?
Sir, that was my idea.
That's what I was saying.
I asked you, and I think we should.
You think we should do that?
With yeah, we should count every apron bump. We got a total of 2, I believe, from what I remember.
They're total from 2, and they were from this match alone. So that's all I remembered, because that was when you brought it up, and that is when they happened. So tomorrow I will make sure to note if any of them happen. I'll keep tabs on that. But they certainly happened in this match, and those look like they sucked. I'm not gonna lie.
Ooh.
Especially a guy of like Kevin's like weight. That's a lot of landing. That's a lot of landing on that apron there. So
Kevin, he takes the weirdest, most obscure bumps. Like I remember he took a Michinoku driver
on a ladder
on the side of a ladder.
Yeah, that was like propped up
across his spine, and I'm like, yo, that was wince like tingling.
Yeah, it's like, why are you taking it there? That's got like it's not flat. It's like sharp and piercing. It's like the worst part to even like consider falling on.
A bump on a ladder. Oh
like he's lucky he didn't get injured doing that. You know what I mean? Like he gets lucky with some of this crazy stuff that he does.
And if you ever look back at his old stuff from the indies, that's not the first time he's done these weird bumps. I remember like he did some weird chair stuff with Jericho, or I don't know who he was feuding with, but there was like a big like jungle gym of chairs he landed on the outside of the ring. Well, he's been doing that all his like, careers in the indies. So Kevin is I don't know, his bump card is very, very obscure.
It's obscure, and it's probably maxed out to high hell. He's probably taken a bump on just about everything dangerous up to this point in his career, I imagine. So these were very tame compared to those ladder bumps that we mentioned, but they still made me kind of go, ooh, I would not want to land there. And they happened very early on in the match, I'd say within the first 5 to 10 minutes. And then the rest of that was just the old WWE style. We hit big move, we counter big move, we attempt big move.
It was a classic.
Yeah, it was just like
in every positive way.
In every positive way, and I'm getting really into it. Owens is they just can't get each other's finishers. They go out to the outside, and what does Seth do? That bastard heel to ruin my night. He hits Kevin Owens with the ring bell, knocks his bell, KOs
on the head.
Yes, KOs, KO. For the disqualification. I was pissed at this point. I was
mad too.
Because I
was surprised it was on the head too. Like
it was.
They're really protective of these like headshots now.
Not there. That was a full blown blast. That was a KO to KO in every sense. He rang his bell legitimately. So I can again, Kevin taking these nasty shots and bumps. So I'm pissed because what I thought was going on to be like a great match, the best actual wrestling match of the night, has now been a screw finish, a non-finish to this big blood feud. But then KO gets on the mic and challenges Seth, and somehow the match becomes no DQ. I don't know, no authority figure came out.
Been Elias and King Corbin, but it's okay. It was much better in this.
They saved it for the better performers game, so we can excuse that. So I don't know how it was who just decided to throw Seth and KO back in the ring. Seth just heard KO challenge him to no DQ, and it became that. Like no authority figure came out. Literally, Seth just walked back down, and KO and him started having a no DQ match. Now this was the section where they got the heat. Seth beat down Kevin with tons of chair shots.
Minutes,
just beat him down. His trash talking the whole way. I think he insulted him and called him fat during the beatdown too. It's just like, what a douche Mr. Monday Night Messiah can be. Just being a dastardly heel, getting the heat with no crowd, which is that's a token to how good these guys can work when you can get the heat with no crowd, because I was invested without the crowd going boo or whatever. So good on them for being able to do that and tell that part of the story with nobody there. I have high hopes for something else that might be able to do that tomorrow, but we'll save that for tomorrow. And so Seth just beats Kevin down. Then Kevin finds an opening with the ring bell that Seth used on him to get disqualified in the first place. And Kevin rings Seth's bell with it. He beats him up, throws him around ringside, makes his comeback, lays Seth out on the announce table. Kevin Owens is about to get a WrestleMania moment, ladies and gentlemen.
He did a whole Shane McMahon dive.
He did a crazy Shane dive off the sign above the stage, high spot, crazy. Looks like he almost destroyed his arm, shattered his elbow. Seth sold it like death. He's wheezing. You could hear him like gasping for air.
Oh yeah, that's one thing I found really interesting.
The selling,
the natural body.
He's just breathing hard.
I felt really worried and uncomfortable. So that's what was very unique about this. No audience.
You could hear every gasp for air, every wince. Like Seth was selling this like death, probably because it felt like death. I mean, he probably was selling a bit, but most of that was maybe a little bit legitimate because that was a big fall. Kevin fell far from that sign off that like part of the stadium or part of the performance center onto Seth. That was a big drop. That was a Shane McMahon-esque elbow,
and that was from like the WrestleMania sign.
Yeah,
which is I always found it really interesting that the sign that they put on the rafters, they just put on the wall of the performance center. So that was a nice little decor.
Yeah, and I liked the lasers that they used, the color coordinated lasers TNA. That made it kind of feel a little more bigger in atmosphere. I enjoyed that. Again, you can't do much there, but I thought that it looked pretty well for all things considered. It looked nice. And I mean, he jumped off the WrestleMania sign. That's a WrestleMania moment right here, even with no people. And Kevin, of course, recovers first, talks some trash, gets Seth in the ring, hits him with a definitive stunner, and wins the WrestleMania match against Seth Rollins. This was great, I thought.
My only negative, which is the pop-up powerbomb, is like now his signature move.
Yeah, they traded.
It looks even more devastating now that he sits out instead of just standing there. Kevin literally sits out and then folds Seth like he's an origami, and then that's a kick out. That's his old finish, and people are gonna kick out of that. So
yeah, they traded it for the stunner. It's like the stunner was something he kind of used as a signature move, and then they made it his finish, which really he should have his own move. I mean, using Austin's finisher, I don't know how I feel about that. No. You know what I mean? It's not his. The pop-up powerbomb was at least something he created, and he was known for using. So now that it's just a signature move, I don't know about that, but it is what it is. He's using the stunner.
That was his old signature.
The stunner was like, it was just like a move. He moved once in a while. Now all of a sudden it's his finishing move. So that's what they use now. Now the pop-up powerbomb is just a transitional spot. You know, Seth powerbombs people into a buckle, and that's a transition spot. You know how devastating that move is? And it's just a transition spot. It ended
like Sting's career.
It broke the neck of an old wrestler, and he's just still using it as just a transition spot. Now, granted,
there's so much like whiplash that comes from it. Oh my god!
Oh, the one Kevin took. I mean, I wonder how they don't die off that move sometimes. Like, it's brutal.
I think he should stop it because I don't really feel that impacted. But knowing that I wrestle and all, it does suck to have that buckle bomb.
Yeah, so. I mean, it seems like a lot of the guys know how to take it. It seems like nobody else has gotten hurt since Sting, other than Finn Balor, but he took it into a dasher board, which is much more dangerous. Montez Ford, unfortunately, had to take that spot not too long ago. That looked like it sucked for him about a month ago. He took it.
I actually remember that.
Yeah, one for some reason. He took it into the barricade, which I thought Seth was never going to do after killing Finn with it, but he did. But, it's already dangerous enough going into the turnbuckle. You don't need to be doing it into the dasher board. And even then, now that I know that, like, Sting's career got ended because of that move, whenever anybody takes it, I kind of go, ooh. You know what I mean? Like, I go,
yeah, like, not for the wrestler, but the actual, like, person.
Like, it's like, oh, is somebody else gonna break their neck off this damn move? But nobody did. They both, to my knowledge, are alive. I haven't heard about any injuries that have come out of this taping. So I assume both men are alive. But I thought this was great for what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Any last thoughts on it that you'd like to say before we move on?
Other than that, bring back the package pile driver, Kevin. That's all I could really say.
Was I the only one who thought was I the only one who thought he was teasing that on the apron at the beginning of the match?
Oh, that's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Like, I instantly thought, no, he's gonna bring. The closest he's ever like brought it back was at War Games when he was helping out Ciampa. He was in the middle of the ring divider and had the arms hooked, but was unable to pull it off. And it's weird because it's when Kevin does it, it's like crazy safe. But we're having Rey Mysterio and Andrade dish out some Canadian destroyers like every Monday.
Adam Cole doing it every match.
Every match, it's kind of weird.
Not to mention, since we're talking about KO anyway, so Adam Cole gets saved from taking the package pile driver, so he on the steel, and then he's able to deliver a Panama Sunrise to KO on that same steel.
Oh.
So you wouldn't allow one fancy looking pile driver, but the flip pile driver's okay. With the flip, which should make it more dangerous.
I feel like that's more dangerous, in my opinion.
But they allow the flip pile driver because all of a sudden I guess it's just a transition spot now. We can get into that in some other time, but yeah, this was great for what it was. I thought they did a bang up job with no audience, and I thought it was very good to great as well. And I thought, as far as an actual wrestling match is concerned, so like like bell to, I can't even say bell to bell because it was like 2 matches in one.
Bell to bell to bell.
Yeah, bell to bell and then bell to bell again. I thought this was the best actual wrestling match on the show, but I could be in the minority on that one.
Oh no, I think you're absolutely right. I think this was the best wrestling match of the night.
Speaking of things that wasn't the best wrestling match of the night, we go to the Universal Championship match. Goldberg originally penciled in to face Roman Reigns. We all know that Roman was not at the taping for WrestleMania, despite the fact that for a good week after he wasn't there to be taped for this match, they still advertised him until last night on SmackDown, where they just showed a graphic where it's like, oh, Braun Strowman's taking on Goldberg.
They just showed a graphic. That's crazy.
That's it. They didn't have no Goldberg Strowman confrontation. No Strowman saying he's going to fill in for Roman since Roman went home for his health or anything like that. What you could have done. The people just see a graphic. That'll clue them in. So again, even before that was announced on SmackDown, we knew that was the case because Roman was reported to have pulled out of the taping, and then confirmed it on his Instagram, citing the reasons why for his health, and he wants to be safe with his family, so we knew he wasn't there. So
it just shows like how much faith they've put into, I guess, Braun, like, over the years. Like, yeah, he's getting the strap, but I mean, like, they're not even gonna publicize it or like spread the word. It's just crazy.
His first big like championship, like world title wins in front of nobody, but you know what? He did beat a legend to do it, and in pretty decent fashion. So, for the people who did see it,
who knows that he did that though? I guess only people who have the network, because it just happened, that quick, short of notice, and then last night, so.
Yeah, so they ended up just doing, as Gabe put it in our chat, power spots the match, which it was.
Power spots the match.
Which it would have been the same thing with Roman, except there would have been like double the spears, and there probably would have been a few headbutt collisions between him and Goldberg. But instead, Strowman doesn't do a spear, so literally it was 2 moves. Goldberg hit a ton of spears.
It was like 4?
4 or 5. Strowman kicked out. He went to go for another spear. I think Braun did a counter of some sort, and then just decided, and then just started.
Oh, no, he was going for a jackhammer.
Oh yeah, well we knew he wasn't going to get Braun up for that. I
knew that for sure.
I don't think Bill can legitimately pick up somebody that big. Like,
especially
I don't think
after the Undertaker.
And Undertaker is much smaller than Braun Strowman. I'll just put it that way. So I knew Bill wasn't even going to attempt that. He would tease it, but I knew he wasn't going to attempt it. And then Strowman just went on a power slam spam fest, hit a bunch of them, and then eventually after the final one, pinned Goldberg to win the Universal title. Whoever Goldberg was facing, whether it was Braun, which happened to be because by circumstance, he got to win a world title because the actual guy who was pegged to win pulled out due to his health. Braun always put in these weird positions, like being squashed by Brock and Saudi a few years ago for the vacant Universal title.
I was actually hyped about it. Yeah, I thought he was going to take the belt.
Yeah, and they said they give it to Brock, so he gets a big win over a legend here, which is all right, I guess. I mean, no matter, like I said, if Roman was in this match, we knew Roman was beating Goldberg. Bill ain't staying around long to be the champion, and at least it's back on a guy who's there full time, I guess.
Can you believe it? We had both world belts like on people who are part-timers for a short amount of time. That's crazy.
Yeah, but it's not the first time. This has happened multiple times in the last 4 years.
I know, and you thought they would have learned, in the newest decade they're repeating history.
Oh, they always do.
That's usually a Vince move, to be honest.
They always do. So Braun Strowman's the champion now, for anybody who's a huge fan of him. The monster among men is holding the SmackDown World title. That, actually, I think it's just too little too late at this point. Like, I'll give him a chance, but he's far from being as over as he was 2-3 years ago. He's lost a lot of steam. And now that he's just a replacement guy to take the belt off Goldberg, I don't think his world title reign's going to be all that good. I doubt it. I mean, it's still the right call. I would still put it on a guy who's there full time over Goldberg at the biggest show. I would not have booked Goldberg to win this match, so I think they have the right winner. if you're asking me that.
I mean, I'm just asking, like, Braun in general just having the world belt.
It's all right, but it seems like it would have been better if they did it when he was a lot hotter and a lot more over, and it didn't lose a ton of steam by basically being the bridesmaid. He'd be put in these big situations, and always they never would capitalize, and he'd always lose. Lose to Seth Rollins last year. Lose to Brock Lesnar the year before. Lose to Brock Lesnar again the year before that. Like, it's always when he was put in a big spot for the Universal Championship, they never pulled the trigger on him to win, and he's had 3 to 4 big chances of it, and now he's finally won on his 5th one, where he was just the replacement guy to take the belt off Goldberg. So, I don't know.
Whenever this whole Corona stuff ends, how long is he have the belt until Roman picks it back up? You know?
Yeah, probably not long. Given how long his Intercontinental title reign was, I doubt his world title reign.
Undoubtedly short.
Yeah. So I doubt he holds the big belt for that long. But he may have a long title reign because of COVID-19. So we're about to find out. So that only time will tell there. So, ladies and gentlemen, now we move on to the main event of the show. And I had my eyebrows raised when this was put in the last spot, because I figured they were going to do some sort of cinematic, because, I mean, it just wasn't big enough to do like a buried alive situation like they've done in the Attitude Era and all that. Like, it was just too small, wouldn't have looked good. They called it a Boneyard match, which really I guess was a graveyard match. I mean, I didn't see many.
It was a buried alive, but like cinematic.
Yeah, it was a buried alive, like, graveyard brawl is what it was. So this was, I think, undoubtedly the best thing on the show. As far as like
it was the most mesmerizing.
Yeah, as far as like just being a full-on presentation, right? So basically, it starts and you hear the music and you realize it's like cinema. It's like a movie. It's like this. Basically, what I would equate it to was like the Broken Hardy stuff from TNA. The final deletion stuff. Vibes from this here thing. Yeah. So, a hearse pulls up to a graveyard, and it's Undertaker's theme. The hearse is pulling up slow. Druids open the hearse when it gets there. They pull out the casket, and this got a big pop for me. I laughed so hard. AJ Styles pops out of the casket, laughing. He's cocky. He has like gloves together. Yeah, he does his pose. As soon as he pops out, his theme music hits, which got me to laugh even more. Really I just couldn't believe it. He's cocky. He's got swagger, but he's in jeans, so you know it's a street fight because all wrestlers got to wear jeans. It was a Shawn Michaels special back in the day where he'd wear jeans to a fight, you see, because it's not a wrestling match, it's a fight. So, but AJ made sure to wear his club shirt. He had to get his merchandise in there in this Boneyard brawl. So he's calling out Undertaker. He's waiting for him. Then you hear a motorcycle in the distance, and there's American Badass Big Evil Dead Man rolling up in his Harley,
and he has a new theme. If you haven't heard,
yeah, it sounds like
it's crazy good.
Yeah,
not gonna lie,
it sounds like a Metallica song. Like, what? I don't know.
I'll look into
you got to look into that song because it's a heavy metal song of some kind, and it's about like about being buried or something like that. Like it's really good. It's a hell of a metal song. Sounds like a Metallica song. It might not be by them, but that's what it sounds like. And so then they have this big face off, and they stare each other down. And I forget, was it AJ who took the first shot, or who was the first one to like really land a blow? I'm kind of spacing on that detail.
I don't really remember.
Yeah, I don't remember. Somebody ended up
because the beginning of the match was the most forgettable because there's just so many like ridiculous crazy shenanigans.
Yeah, because it's like you have all these music cues and the wackiness of this and that, yeah. And so anyway, somebody ended up being the first one to punch, and they have like a big time brawl. Like they're laying in heavy shots, they're beating the piss out of each other. It's crazy, and it's funny. Like in this cinematic, they kept it competitive. Like AJ still got his shit in. It's not like he got like squashed in this presentation. He absolutely like hung with Undertaker in an Undertaker movie. It was like AJ was like the believable smaller villain I can't even, it's hard to describe, but like if you watch it, you'll understand what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like in no way did AJ look out of his element in this thing. Like he was just there to be Undertaker. I mean, he basically was, but like he still held his own and he got offense in. Like it's not like this was Undertaker one-sided. Now, of course, there was the heel shtick. When
he felt like a really big heel in this.
Like eventually Undertaker does get the advantage and he looks to bury poor AJ, but then you hear Gallows and Anderson call Undertaker like, "Hey, Taker," or whatever, "we're here." And he turns around and they're standing by this lit shed. And then you see,
I was really confused.
Yeah, then you see a bunch of like hooded druids in the shed. And Undertaker's like, well, I guess they're not on my side. He kind of has this look on his face. And then they all run out, and Undertaker, just this lone gunman without a gun,
like a badass.
He's like, well, if it's all them on me. And he starts taking out all these druids, just beats the shit out of all of them. One punch, they go down, but they're
just one punch.
But they're just guys in masks that don't matter, so they could go down in one punch.
Where do they go after that?
I don't know. I guess they just sold their injuries. Maybe they rolled back to the shed. I don't know. They were off camera, so they were gone for good. Like this is how it was. He took them all out. Then Gallows and Anderson start double teaming Undertaker, and of course, he ends up actually kind of overcoming them. But then AJ attacks him from behind, and they kind of
with the concrete.
Yeah, he hits. Yeah, that's a good point. He hits him with a concrete block from behind, so now Undertaker is down, and AJ gets the heat in this Boneyard match. Starts beating up Undertaker again. He gets on to the advantage. Do you remember really what happened after AJ got the advantage? After breaking the cinder block, do you remember? Because I remember there was a bit of time before they went up on the shed roof.
He was teasing about to put him in the grave, and he eventually did put him in the grave.
Oh, yes. AJ did beat him up to the point where, Undertaker was like getting weaker and weaker, it seemed.
Yeah.
They fought and fought and fought, and then AJ did throw him in the grave. He did throw him in the grave. Then he went into the tractor.
Yeah, the tractor.
He went into the tractor to bury him. Then all of a sudden, a goofy light appears behind AJ, and without any explanation at all, the Undertaker is behind him again. And AJ does the best, oh shit, scared face you've ever seen. And Taker beats the bejesus out of him. Gallows and Anderson end up getting back involved. Actually, AJ gets beat up quite a bit, so he decides he's going to run up on the roof to get away from Undertaker. He decides going up on the shed roof is a great idea. So he climbs up onto the roof of the shed, and Undertaker's talking mad smack, like, "Where are you going, boy? You think you're going to run from me, blah, blah, blah," just talking all this shit. And then Gallows and Anderson also climb up there, and they try to triple team the Undertaker, or double team the Undertaker.
Before that, Brayden, hold on. You gotta talk about how, for some reason, Undertaker, the American Badass, has Kane's like pyro.
Oh my god, yes, I completely forgot about that.
Behind AJ.
Yes. So before Undertaker even climbs up the ladder, AJ's backing away, but then Undertaker raises his arms and pyro goes off on the shed. A bunch of fire goes up, and then AJ goes, "Oh shit!" And basically ducks for cover. Undertaker climbs up there to follow AJ and talks a bunch of smack. Gallows and Anderson climb up there to try and help AJ, but literally Undertaker destroys both of them.
He just throws both of them off.
He threw Gallows off the shed, and then he tombstoned Anderson on the roof. So I don't think we should be seeing Anderson for a long time. He got tombstone on a metal roof. Maybe he'll be out of action for a while.
Anderson, we're talking about Gallows, so we don't even know how he landed.
He just flew off that. But if anybody had a bad landing, it was also AJ, because right after that, Undertaker gave him a choke slam off the shed through whatever gimmick was at the bottom, but it looked like a bunch of wood and
it was probably planks.
Yeah, it was a bunch of planks, and he cracked through the wood, and he was dead. And then Undertaker knew he was dead, but he's like, "Stay with me, man. Do you know where you are? You remember my wife's name? How old am I?" He's probing AJ to answer these questions because AJ's out on his feet, wants to get some sort of response from him. And then he drags AJ up and then says, basically to the lines of, "Well, you held up with me. You gave me a fight. Basically, he was giving him a sign of respect.
They even hugged it out.
They hugged it out, and it seemed like he was just going to leave AJ broken and battered in the Boneyard, but then Taker gives him the big boot, and AJ falls into the grave, and Undertaker climbs up on the loader, and a gong hits, and he buries AJ in the dirt in the Boneyard match.
And then he removed the vines from the stone.
Yeah,
tombstone,
he did.
Showing that AJ died.
Yep, that it was AJ's tombstone all along, which I should mention that at the beginning there was all that stuff over top of it so you couldn't see it. But AJ mentioned that was Taker's marked grave at the beginning of their brawl, that he had went and marked Undertaker's grave, but you couldn't see anything on it because that thing was covering it. So then Taker ends up revealing that it was AJ's grave all along, which I thought was a nice touch. And then Undertaker does more Kane magic, and his symbol appears on that shed that everybody fought on. You see the Undertaker symbol behind him, the UT, in purple with a bunch of flames. And then, like a badass that just won his last hoorah, Undertaker gets on his motorcycle to that awesome metal song, and
whatever that song is,
and drove off. While you see AJ's hand in the buried dirt, and then you see Undertaker ride off after that. This was awesome. And may I go on to say that if it was not for a show if this was a show in front of thousands of people, Undertaker and AJ would have been in the ring. I don't think that's any question. If this was a show in front of 70,000 some people and Undertaker and AJ were booked on the card, they for sure would have wrestled at least some sort of gimmick match around the ring that the people could have seen them in person. It was the fact that this show was in front of nobody and pre-taped that we got something as creative as this. Do you agree?
I mean, that's what I was even hoping for when I first heard that they were going to be booked for Mania. Even after the whole COVID stuff, are they going to still have a high caliber match? But they've had something else better, I guess.
Well, I think this was better because literally Undertaker, none of the flaws that he's been showing in the few years were being shown. AJ, despite basically getting buried alive, still hung with the Undertaker, and in the cinematic did give him a hell of a beating too. There were times where Undertaker was wheezing and AJ got a ton of punches and stiff shots in. This was just a benefit, and I was kind of wow, this pre-recorded movie match is gonna be the main event of night one. And then I'm like, oh, fuck yeah, that's why it was the main event of night one, because it was this fucking good. You know, I was perfect. What a great way to end the show. This was awesome. I give this 2 thumbs up. What about you, Gabe?
If I had a third, I'd one up you on that one. This is a heavy Matt Hardy vibes as we talked about, but it's just, I guess now that he's gone, Matt Hardy, I guess they wanted to do it their own way. WWE just showcase Undertaker and AJ in the most cinematic way possible, and that can only, I guess, get us more excited for the I want to say the Bray Wyatt and John Cena match and the Firefly Funhouse match.
Yeah, and the
most likely going to be
another thing like this. Yeah, it's probably going to be another cinematic thing in the house, and if it's even half as good as this, I'm really looking forward to it. You know, if it's even half as good. But Bray is great, especially in pre-tapes, and Cena's charismatic, and
I feel like it'll be more horror themed since it's The Fiend.
Yeah,
and Undertaker and AJ, it was more like a action
it was an action movie brawl.
Yeah. So AJ and Undertaker will take that, while Cena and Bray will probably take the horror aspect of it.
Yeah, I just hope it's more. I just hope again it's more Final Deletion than House of Horrors.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's
House of Horrors, I forgot all about that.
Yeah,
I should say that. Ew.
Well, because Bray was also involved in that, and I hope that it doesn't go that route. I'm hoping that it's something as good as this tomorrow, or even half as good as this would be good. But after tonight, Gabe, I have faith of night 2 because a lot of really good stuff is also booked for night 2. In fact, there's actually a lot of matches that are even more exciting than took place tonight are actually being saved for night 2. So night 1 with less was very good. You know,
it looks like you were right, Braden. It is a Metallica song.
It was, eh? That's what I thought. I could have swore it was Metallica.
It's Now That We're Dead by Metallica.
Well, that's very appropriate. Now That We're Dead for the Boneyard match where AJ basically got buried alive. I wonder how they're going to sell that. How does he just come back to TV now after getting buried alive by The Undertaker?
I don't know. Oh, wait, Braden, you forgot one important title change. How could you forget it?
What's that?
R-Truth losing the 24/7 title.
Oh, did he lose it to Gronk? I must have been out of the room when that happened.
Oh, no. He lost it to Mojo Rawley.
Oh.
So what happened was, okay, they're being hosts, right? Mojo and Gronk. And then R-Truth comes out and they're like, oh, man, I can't go anywhere anymore. I can't go to church. I can't go to, I can't go to anywhere because of my title. And then Gronk goes for the pin. And then Mojo just pushes Gronk out the way and pins Truth for the belt.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I think I went and got like something to eat during that little brief period. I seen R-Truth being interviewed by them, and after I'd heard Gronk and Mojo at the beginning, I'm like, if this is even any prolonged period of time, I'm going to get something to eat. You know, that's exactly what happened. But to be fair, at least at the beginning of the show, they did talk very briefly, but then they were kept to a minimum after that. They were not shown. Thank God for that. Thank God for that. I hope night 2 follows suit.
I think Gronk being a host, that whole announcement, I think that's just a way for getting the casual viewers and like, oh, we're having Gronk being the host.
Yeah, we're having Gronk host this thing. Ay. So yes, that was night 1 of WrestleMania 36, and as I said, there was they kept a lot of undercard stuff on this show, so some of the stuff that they found was less important. But even then, a lot of that stuff delivered. Like, again, Becky and Shayna was a very good women's title match, even if the wrong person won. The 3 guys in the ladder match killed themselves and put on the best possible match without an audience being there. Kevin Owens and Seth Rollins did the same thing, even if they had 2 matches to do it. And then this cinematic, which may be the best, like, cinematic match WWE has done. It's the best thing involving The Undertaker in years. Literally years is the best thing he's done. So this, I don't know how anybody could give this a thumbs down. This is far from the worst pay-per-view of all time. In fact, I would say this is one of the better shows I've seen from WWE in a while.
Oh yeah, of course.
From a pay-per-view perspective. I will put it over that much.
So Brian, are we rating, for our future reviews, are we rating pay-per-views by thumbs now? Like 2 thumbs up or 2 thumbs down or like all that?
Well, we could do 2 if we really unanimously agree. We could do 1 if like we thought it was good, but that's a bit it. 1 thumb down if it was bad, but not super bad. Then 2 thumbs down for an outright atrocious show.
I believe this was, I want to say a 1.5 thumbs.
Yeah, I would say that's about right. It gets a 1.5 thumbs for me too. Yeah, because it's more than a thumb, but I can't give it a full 2, right? So like,
yeah, exactly. It's not a full 2 because of some like, decisions made, but other than that, a 1.5 thumbs or 1/4. That's what I gotta say.
As far as a pay-per-view with no audience is concerned, and since WWE hasn't done this before, I thought they did, and especially to keep you, I'm more excited going into night 2 now because night 1 was as good as it was. Like, I had bottom barrel expectations for this show, Gabe. I was not,
Are we gonna rate WrestleMania as a whole after night 2, or is it just going to be?
We'll just do parts 1 and 2. So if night 1's, because I'm just treating it as separate pay-per-views, right? Like we had night 1, that's its own show. Night 2 is also its own show.
Understood.
So I give night 1 again, like Gabe said, I agree with his rating, a 1.5 thumbs, and I look forward to tomorrow's night 2. It should be a lot of fun, and again, a very good pay-per-view for no crowd. They did the best of what they could, and as said, the main event Boneyard match was really making the best out of a bad situation.
That was the icing and cherry, whatever you want on top. That is the greatest way they could have ended the night.
Yeah, so now, once again, as you all know, I love to do the cheap plugs section of this here video. Gabe, the floor is all yours, my man. What do you want to plug?
The good old, I'm not doing anything at the moment out of the ordinary, so just good old YouTube, Nozid, Nozid, because who knows it? Gabe Nozid. If you want, follow me at Gabe Nozid on Twitter, Instagram, and maybe on Facebook if you still have that. So those are my plugs, Braden.
Okay, is that your wrestling catchphrase?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that is the perfect catchphrase. I think that works splendidly. I just had to put that over, if you will.
Yeah, I would. I'm re-announcing right now, so whenever I get the chance to, I'll probably get in some angle, just ask the crowd who knows it. Gabe knows it. So yeah, all of my wrestling friends, they love it. They think it's top notch.
It is a good catchphrase, and at least catchy and it rolls off the tongue, right? At least some people will remember. I'll be remembering it from now on. So anyway, so if you are a subscriber of the channel and you've listened to this podcast, thank you very much. I don't really care much about the thumbs up or thumbs down, but do comment what you thought about WrestleMania 36 Night 1. And also, if you just happen to find this podcast through the algorithm or you were searching other reviews and you found this one and you liked what you heard, please do subscribe to the channel. Would love to see you and hear from you going on with our reviews and predictions going forward. So I am Braster. He is Gabe Nozid. And we are going to Spanish Fly like John Morrison on Out of This Here Review. We'll see you tomorrow night, folks.